Hello and welcome to Mojarto on Art. I'm Manu Subramanian. This week, we take a closer look at the demolition of the Hall of Nations in New Delhi, a Nehruvian monument to modernism. After that, we have a few stories about the impact of art in public spaces and what it does when we take works outside of the museum. We share some upcoming events happening in the art world with you, and Mojarto introduces us to three very special artists. This is Mojarto on Art. The Hall of Nations, one of Delhi's most famous buildings, was torn down last week. We tell you a little bit about its history, its significance, and what officials say will come in its place.
एक तरफ प्रगति मैदान हमने दरबार की, लेकिन यहाँ से कोई जवाब नहीं मिला।
In 1972, on the 25th anniversary of India's independence, a building that would mark a new chapter for this young country was inaugurated by Indira Gandhi. The Hall of Nations and Hall of Industries at Pragati Maidan are unmissable and unforgettable. And that was the plan. It was intended to represent a sovereign, modern India's aesthetic, one of the world, but able to think for itself. From an architectural standpoint, it is an anomaly, and it's a marvel. The Hall of Nations is a sturdy feat with the appearance of a house of cards. It was the world's first concrete sculpture to have been built without pillars. The Hall of Nations, with its iconic silhouette, is a tourist destination and a Delhi signifier. It has served as a space for major speeches, conferences, exhibitions. It's been the stage for dance and music performances. My father proposed to my mother there. On April 24th, the Hall of Nations was torn down to the ground. In its place, the city will build a world-class iconic integrated exhibition and convention center, which will serve larger expositions and be able to hold events throughout the year. When asked why the original buildings could not undergo an expansion or renovation, the India Trade Promotion Organization repeatedly declined comment, pointing us instead to a press release stating, Hall of Nations, Nehru Pavilion, and Hall of Industry were constructed in the year 1972. These structures are not classified as heritage buildings. In order to be a heritage building, and thus protected by the Heritage Conservation Committee, it must be more than 60 years old. Pragati Maidan is 48. The redevelopment plan became public in November 2015 and has been met with an outpouring of protest throughout. Raj Reval, the architect behind Pragati Maidan, submitted a petition against the demolition on April 20th, which was dismissed. The High Court did not put a stay on the demolition in response to the petition, and so razing began on Monday night and continued into Tuesday. The new complex is slated to open in early 2019, just in time to host the G20 summit. We'll be sure to let you know about any more developments that happen with the Hall of Nations. Next, let's get to know Art for All, an organization that creates works and spaces that are intended to grow organically and evolve. To coincide with the launch of one of their publications, they created a work in Delhi's Govindpuri neighborhood that involved navigating its narrow streets with paper airplanes. Let's find out how.
Tracing Art in Public is a new online magazine aiming to address the lack of public art in cities and foster dialogue about art outside museums. To celebrate its launch, the Arts for All Foundation created a large-scale work inside of a residential colony in South Delhi. Their intent? To co-create an evolving work with residents of the community.
There is an idea of beauty that is inside these colonies. The houses, the way they have done it up, the way they have painted walls, and it's a beauty that maybe it's largely ignored by thinking the beauty is in the malls or in the beauty out there in the rest of the part of the city. So we wanted a real public launch of the magazine, and we wanted it to be an occasion where we start a community engagement, a long-term community engagement. At the same time, artists are not like researchers or anthropologists. Like, how do they get to know a community, So coming from a system that believes that artists only get to know places by working in them, so we invited young artists to come and have like a 2-day flash engagement in the community, preferably with a workshop mode, so that a larger number of people get involved, develop something, bring it out in the open.
हमारे देश में बोलते थे कि 108 कला है, किसी किताबों में ये भी बोलते थे कि चोरी भी कला है, अच्छे से साड़ी पहनाना जानना भी कला है.
Tracing Art in Public initiates projects such as these to allow for participation from viewers. It also allows people to bump into art, which may spark new interaction with the arts and perhaps even inspire local artists to create in their spaces.
तो मुझे 2 दिन तक मेरा दिमाग काम नहीं किया कि करना क्या है, क्योंकि यहाँ पे कुछ एक तो जगह नहीं है लोगों के घुसने के लिए, इतना पतली गलियाँ हैं, तो यहाँ पे ऐसा प्रॉब्लम हो रहा था कि मतलब काम कहाँ करेंगे. तो फिर मैं काफ़ी देर सोचने के बाद मुझे लगा कि क्योंकि यहाँ के बहुत टैलेंटेड लोग भी निकले हैं जिनको मैं जानता हूँ, तो मुझे लगा कि कुछ ऐसा किया जाए कि मतलब यहाँ से रिलेटेड हो और यहाँ को प्रेजेंट करता हो. मुझे लगा कि जैसे इस गली में घुसेंगे तो आपको कोई भी गली, आपको रास्ता नहीं मिलेगा, आप कहाँ भी गुम हो जाएंगे, आपको पता नहीं है. तो मुझे लगा कि मैं प्लेन, इसमें पेपर प्लेन बनाऊँगा, क्योंकि हमेशा प्रोग्रेस के लिए को दिखा था कि प्लेन, तो मैं उधर प्लेन लगाया सब में कि, और गली को मतलब जिधर जाते हैं उधर एरो टाइप उसको मैंने चिपकाया है, तो अगर कोई आना भी चाह रहा है तो वो प्लेन को देख के वो दूसरी साइड निकल सकता है.
In Govindpuri, Arts for All held workshops to teach local children how to get involved.
The first project was this paper planes, and so they made about thousands of paper plates and they stuck it all over the gullies of the basti. And the whole idea was to get the children involved. And the second project was the Thonga project. So the artists, they took pictures of the whole basti and then they made thongas. They had a workshop, thonga making workshops, and then they made this sculpture. Again, the whole plan was to kind of get the community involved. See, because art has no language.
It's a replacement about the plastic bags, and there's some black and white photographs and then some color photographs also. So they actually know that how beautiful they are living there. They're actually beautiful.
As with many public artworks, Arts for All's work in Govindpuri will continue to change with the community and remains impermanent. An opportunity for repeated visits and transformation.
We want to talk about art in a very subtle way. We don't want to say, oh, this is art. Let it be a process that they evolve. Let it be a definition that they evolve themselves rather than we tell them what it is.
It's certainly a beautiful project, and I'm excited to see what happens to the work in the weeks and months to come. Now, let's look at some upcoming events happening in the art world. It's really a golden time period right now for performance art across the country, so we brought a few of these events together for you. Delhi, the drifting canvas is making its way to select City Walk Mall, Sake. It's a pioneering multimedia art exposition showcasing the works of 11 masters of the 19th and 20th century. It's traveled to 12 countries, and now it's in India for the first time. Mumbai, International Jazz Day 2017 takes place on April 30th at 7 p.m. The event will feature over 20 artistes in a span of 3 hours, who mix jazz genres from jazz standards to jazz fusion. Guwahati, MTV Bollyland is coming April 29th. It's a multi-artiste concert where chart-busting singers perform live with the top EDM DJs. Delhi, the Natya Ballet Center is host to the Inside Outside Performance Evening. In honor of World Dance Day on April 29th, Natya Ballet Center will present film screenings and performances about classical and contemporary dance. Do you have an event that we should feature on the show? Then write to us at onart@ndtv.com and you might just see it in this space. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, there's a whole lot more art. Mojarto on Art will be right back.